Welcome back, my name is LastKnownMeal, and today I'm going to review Netflix The Witcher Season 1, but with spoilers. So if you haven't watched the show, please go and do that first before getting all the spoilers here. Now, I will refrain myself from discussing what happens in the later seasons, especially what happens in the books, because a lot of people are getting into this without reading the book, so I don't want to spoil the future of the show. But everything in the Season 1 is open to discussion. So Season 1 gave us 8 episodes in total, every episode was around 55 minutes to an hour, and they decided that in the first season, since you can technically count it as an introductory season because everything that happened here, from the massacre of Sintra and all of the short stories combined, give you a really nice start into the universe. And there are changes from the books, keep in mind that always happens. That usually translates to some, characters getting less or more screen time, and some of the events are rather skipped or not really given too much attention. Now, Season 1 balances the short stories and the saga a bit, and for people who are only getting introduced into this world can be a bit too much. But you have to actually wait, because in the later seasons everything is going to be explained. Because the stories are moving back and forth from past, present and future, and when you have the attack on Sintra in the first episode, then the banquets in the fourth episode, which is set in the past, I mean, they do talk about it, but some people were confused, and that's okay, but, rewatching it again might give you a better sense of the story, and everything that happens here will expand in the later seasons. And they also promised that the later seasons are going to be a bit more narrow in the timeline, so you will be able to follow everything a bit easier than in the Season 1. The show is focused on 3 main characters, Geralt, Yennefer and Cirilla. All of these people will be important for the later seasons, and also including some others like Vilgefortz, Skahir, etc, etc. I will talk about the characters as soon as I finish the story bit. Now, one short story, which is The Edge of the World, that occurs in the second episode, is when Geralt meets Sylvan, Teruviel and Filavandrel, the King of Elves. I really enjoyed that story in the book, and I felt like, even though they follow the plot in a sense, it didn't really connect with me, and that short story was important for 2 reasons. Number 1, because viewers get to hear about, the Great Cleansing and how the constant war between humans and elves is still going to this day. Only now elves are using guerrilla tactics rather than full-on combat because humans basically destroyed them. And now that everything is almost done, Geralt asks Filavandrel, why don't you just go and start working with humans? On that end, there is that pride which kicks in because elves would be enslaved. I mean, we have to keep it real. Regarding humans and non-humans, the elves would be enslaved. And from one side, I do understand him, but from the other, you see this constant struggle for power and war, which brings more war and more destruction, which ultimately is the price the entire, universe and the world has to pay. In the world of Witcher, because there are constant power struggles and constant wars that keeps a lot of people very angry, especially humans and non-humans. Now, Geralt is neutral here. He doesn't consider himself human, he is a mutant after all, and is treated as a non-human. This entire discussion from the books didn't really transfer here, and that also happens in a couple of other parts, and that's why writing needs some revisions for the second season. It's not bad at all. There are some cool moments, but revisions are needed, just to have more of an emotional impact on the viewer in the certain scenes. Also, Brokilon Forest, in my opinion, wasn't used well. Not in the terms of the changes from the books, because Lauren Schmidt, the showrunner, explained why they needed that change, because in the show, Ciri meets Geralt in the last episode outside of Yurga's farm. In the books, Geralt and Ciri meet in Brokilon, but if you included that in the show, that means everything else needed to be done way before episode 4 or episode 3, which would make the show even more confused and crowded with content than it is right now. So this was done to introduce all of the characters early. You have the backstories, you have the character arcs, the early character arcs, so you can follow them easier in the next seasons. But then Brokilon, in a sense, was a bit of a miss, especially because I don't know why, but it lacks some of the atmosphere, which could have been achieved with some general shots, maybe some close-up of the dryads, of their eyes, when Ciri is first walking towards them, just to give it, more atmosphere in a sense, to give it a bit of a change from one, part of the location where Ciri was in, then when she goes inside the Brokilon forest. The other thing I really enjoyed was the episode 3 when Geralt is fighting the Striga and Yennefer is getting that enchantment. I like how they go back and forth and connect these two stories, because a Striga is a product of a curse, an abomination. And Yennefer was also, in a sense, for a lot of people, an abomination, because she is half-elf and her body developed in a very strange way. When Yennefer's transformation was done and Geralt actually cured Princess Ada, they both represented a change from an abomination into something different, into something normal, in a sense. That's why Yen is lying in that fetus position covered in blood at the end, so it represents a rebirth, a new beginning for both, the Princess Ada and the mighty sorceress, and I thought this detail was really, really cool. Cinematography, as I said, was amazing. Maybe those little details would make it even better, but still, it's beautiful. The fighting scenes especially. The one from the first episode is the best I had seen in a while, and my favorite in the whole season. Cinematography is complemented with an insane production design, sound design, especially in the fights. Editing is insane. On that technical side, the show is really well done. It has its own style, its own atmosphere, and they are standing out here, to the point where you don't see this as the game. It's different, it's found its place, and honestly, made this brand even more popular worldwide. Again, this would never happen if CD Projekt didn't make a really strong foundation for The Witcher, and ultimately, a lot of people who watched the show came to the games and books, which makes me really happy, because they have the experience to go through the video games, to read the books, and really enjoy this universe. Now, regarding characters, Geralt is amazing. Henry's passion for this universe is visible. He talks about the lore with knowledge, and he actually cares about this, so I definitely give him a huge congratulations on this role. Next up is Yennefer. Some people like her, some don't. I personally don't have any problems with the casting of Yennefer, especially how that Anya showed that she can play the character. There is a huge dedication behind it, and I respect that. And keep in mind, the show will run for at least 10 years. Imagine how much these people will change and grow older. You also have to take that into account when you're planning a long-running show. Look at any other show which has been going on for more than 10 years. Characters become better and older with each season, and honestly, I think these characters will improve a lot as more seasons come. I really have a good feeling about this, because the basis is so strong and so well done. Cirilla was also very cool. Freya is going to be an amazing Ciri in the future, especially now that her character is getting this huge change, so keep a lookout for that. I think she plays this scared little girl really well. You have to keep in mind, Ciri grew up in a very controlled environment, so everything she does now is new for her, and it was captured well. Next up, we have Jaskier. This casting was well done. I did not talk about Jaskier so much in my non-spoilery review, but Joey captures Jaskier in a very good sense. He can come across as very annoying sometimes, but I think, Joey has enough charisma to balance that and really keeps the moments with Geralt relaxing and funny, and, always getting him into trouble. And Geralt cares about him, even though he only knew him for a day and a half, but he would kill everyone to save him. Also, Emma Ferren as Cahir did a masterful job, but I am worried how they are portraying Cahir, because when I saw that scene in the episode 6, I believe, when he kills everyone in that inn to see if there is a Doppler among them, he was portrayed as a bit of a psychopath in a sense, which in the books, he is a passionate soldier, but not to this point. And I want to see how a certain change happens in the future, and even Even Fringilla says to him, a simple test of silver would suffice, but there is that, you know, the time of axe and sword is nigh, which was kind of a, okay, that's really not Kahir I was expecting, but he's heading into this road of no return. And there are certain things that happen in the later seasons that change his character. So they made him quite fanatical here and quite, you know, negative. So hopefully that change is visible. And if they are going to do that change, that twist as well. Then you have Fringilla, Tsaya, Mausak, Istrid, Kalanthi, Aist, Sabrina, Renfrey that really captured the role. Still not sure about Triss. Didn't really come off as a character that stands out, but hopefully that changes. And I don't have a problem with the actress. I mean, it's the choice they made. But I just want to see, you know, Triss standing out a bit more, you know, because it is Triss Merigold after all, and I didn't see that much. Also, Yarpen Zigrin, I mean, Jeremy did an amazing job. I had a really good laugh watching him as Yarpen. That was when I was really looking forward to this. And from the first moment Yarpen appeared on the screen, I was like, that's it, he did it. The CGI in a sense is okay. In some moments it's great, in some not really. I am glad that they were using makeup and prosthetics to achieve practical effects rather than, you know, CGI, which in some places looked mediocre. Like, for example, Sylvan was not believable. His head was a bit too big, and you can see that it's a prosthetic. I mean, you always know that, but when you can actually see it without trying too hard, it breaks the immersion. Keep in mind, they don't have the same CGI budget as, you know, movies, and Netflix is definitely going even more into the second season, and that also translates to CGI. So the CGI is going to improve in the later seasons as the budget is becoming bigger and bigger. Now you're probably wondering, why am I bashing these parts of the season? Honestly, the show is amazing. It does all the important things well, and all the things I mentioned are fixable in the later seasons. It's important that they captured the universe and the characters and created something people enjoy, something I can always return to and actually enjoy it. So I will give this first season a very strong 8.5 out of 10, and I am sure it will improve, and there is not a reason for you to skip this if you love the Witcher universe or you want a new dark fantasy / horror show, because it is sometimes done in a way that it has that old horror atmosphere, and that's not bad. I love old horror films more than I like the new ones, especially that moment when another Witcher comes after a Striga, and how it's shot and graded gives you that feeling. Now you're probably going to say, well, 8.5 out of 10 means you don't like it. No. 8.5 out of 10 for me is a huge score. It's an enormous score, and I only give it to shows I really enjoy. And there is no reason for this show not to be a 10 out of 10 show if they improve on this later. Also, I wanted to discuss the soundtrack a bit. Now, the first time when they released the Netflix the teaser, and they had that generic music into it, I was a bit disappointed. But later on, as more, you know, trailers came out, and I believe the final trailer has probably the best soundtrack for this show regarding trailers. And once I got into the show, the music is astonishing. The music is really well done. It's there when it needs to be there. It's used really well. In some places, I think it's a bit too much. Some of those scenes could use a bit more silence, and that's something that new shows generally don't really use, and that is silence. You know, just let the characters think for a bit. You know, give them some space. But overall, the soundtrack was believable. It fits, and I think it's also a huge plus for the show. So, as I said, there are some things that I like, there are some things that I dislike, but I congratulate everyone who worked on the show. You managed to do something which I was really skeptical about, and that is to stand out so much that, you know, the show is gonna be an international success. And I can't wait for the second season. I will also do a breakdown for each episode. I need more time though, so if you're interested, let me know. This was a spoiler review of the season 1 of Netflix The Witcher. I tried to keep it condensed. I didn't want to go too far into analysis because this would turn into a 2-hour video then, and I will focus on more specific details once I start breaking down each episode. But don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button for more Netflix The Witcher, and also join us on Twitter and Discord if you want to continue the discussion there. I also post a lot of news there that don't make it into a form of a video, so don't forget to follow me. And stay classy everyone, and I wish you a happy new year. Bye bye.